You hear it all the time, right? AI is going to solve our biggest problems, from creating new drugs to untangling global supply chains. But what happens when you point all that power at one of the biggest challenges of all, our transition to a clean energy future? Well, in the UAE, a country really at the center of both old energy and new green ambitions, this isn't just a thought experiment. It's happening right now.
So that's the big question we're digging into here. Can AI actually get us over the finish line on clean energy? We're going to break down some fascinating new research on how the UAE is using AI to chase its green energy goals. And what's really interesting is that the biggest hurdle, it's not the technology, not at all. It's something much, much more human.
Okay, so first things first, let's just talk about the tech itself. Because when you look at what AI is capable of in the energy sector, wow, it really does feel like a superpower. The potential here is, frankly, a total game changer. Just think of it like this complete toolkit for building a way smarter energy grid. AI can predict how much power we're going to need with incredible accuracy. It can balance the load on the grid in real time to stop blackouts. It can even tell you that a specific wind turbine needs a checkup before it breaks down. It's all about making every single part of the system smarter, more efficient, and way more reliable.
And this isn't just theory. The numbers really tell the story. The research shows that AI can boost the accuracy of energy demand forecasts by 15 to 25% compared to the old ways of doing things. I mean, that is a huge leap forward for keeping the grid stable and costs down. So that brings us to the real puzzle. If the tech is this good, why isn't this transition happening even faster?
Well, this is where the story takes a turn. Because it turns out, this challenge isn't just about algorithms and infrastructure. The research frames this whole situation as something far more complex, something social scientists have a great name for, a wicked problem.
So, what on earth is a wicked problem? Basically, it's a messy, tangled societal knot. There's no single clean solution, because the goals themselves are often fighting with each other. Every time you try to fix one part of it, you might accidentally create a new problem somewhere else. You're juggling the tech, the economics, the politics, and just plain old human behavior all at once.
And this comparison just makes it so clear. Building a bridge, that's what they call a tame problem. I mean, it's hard, for sure, but the laws of physics are clear, and you know exactly what finished looks like. The energy transition, though, that's wicked. How do you perfectly balance keeping the lights on with making it affordable and hitting your climate targets? There is no simple single answer. So how in the world do you start to unravel a wicked problem like this? Well, the research uses this really powerful framework that comes out of Harvard called the public value triangle. And this, right here, is the key to understanding what is really going on. Okay, first up we have substantive outcomes. This is the most straightforward piece of the puzzle. It's basically asking, does the tech actually work? Is it making the grid run better? Is it helping to cut emissions? This is all about raw performance.
Then there's the second pillar, operational capacity. And this one is all about the people and the processes behind the tech. Do you have teams with the right training? Is your data organized in a way that the AI can even understand it? You could have the most amazing algorithm in the world, but it's totally useless if nobody knows how to use it.
And finally, we get to the third pillar. And this is the one that so often gets forgotten, legitimacy. Do people and do governments actually trust this new system? Do they believe it's fair? Is it transparent? Because if the public isn't on board, even the most perfect technical plan is destined to fail. So when the researchers took this triangle and applied it to what's happening in the UAE, the picture became incredibly clear. Just look at this. The tech itself, the outcomes, is marked achieved. It works. But then you move over to operational capacity, the systems and skills, and it's only partially achieved. And then legitimacy, the public trust, that's underachieved. This imbalance right here, this is the entire story. So obviously, the next question is, why? Why is the technology sprinting so far ahead of our ability to manage it and our willingness to trust it? The research really drills down into the root causes of this gridlock. This slide uses a brilliant little method called the 5 whys to get to the truth. You start with a surface problem. Why is data all siloed off? Well, because of separate IT systems. Okay, why do they have separate systems? Because governance was set up that way. Why? Because the old energy models rewarded controlling your own turf. And when you keep asking why, you get to the bottom of it all.
deep institutional inertia. The entire system we have was built for the fossil fuel age, and changing that foundation is proving to be incredibly difficult.
And that inertia isn't just some abstract concept. You can see it plain as day in the data. A whopping 72% of organizations say they're struggling with fragmented data. 65% admit they have major gaps in AI skills. And get this, rigid, top-down, old-school organizations are 40% less likely to succeed with this stuff. The old way of doing business is actively getting in the way of the new technology.
Now, when we talk about that legitimacy gap, that trust problem, the research points out a massive risk, something called ethics washing. This is what happens when you get a lot of talk about ethical principles, a lot of glossy reports, but none of it has any real teeth. There's no enforcement. It looks good, it sounds good, but it ends up shattering public trust when people realize it's all just for show.
So the diagnosis is pretty clear, right? The technology is ready to go, but the institutions, they're not. And what that means is that the real transformation that needs to happen has very little to do with writing better software. And this slide, right here, this is maybe the single most important conclusion from all of the research. The solution is not a step-by-step process. You can't just build the cool tech and then hope that the skills and the trust will just magically appear later. That's a recipe for failure. All three pillars of that triangle, the tech, the capacity, and the trust, they all have to be built at the same time together.
So what does that actually look like on the ground? Well, the research lays out a really smart, concrete action plan. To build that trust, you create something like a National AI Audit Bureau that has real authority. To build capacity and break down those silos, you create a federated data space, which is just a clever way for different groups to share data securely without one central point of failure. And to make sure the tech stays on track, you mandate regular impact assessments to prove it's still doing what it promised to do for the country's climate goals.
You know, when you boil it all down, the conclusion is just so direct and powerful. The question is not whether AI can transform the UAE's renewable energy systems. The evidence is clear. It absolutely can.
So we're left with this one final critical question. The technology is here, it's ready. The real test, the real challenge for the UAE's green future is whether our institutions, our organizations, and our ways of governing can transform themselves at the same time. And that is the question that will decide everything.